Damage in Warframe is a strange can of worms. To speed things up a bit, yes, different enemy defenses are vulnerable or resistant to different kinds of damage. Here's the table. This understanding in a powerful critical weapon is crucial to get past certain high-bulk obstacles like Eidolons, Liches, Sentients, and some bosses. But for the start chart, weapons that can throw out statuses can be a lot of fun. Statuses tend to last for 6 seconds and have an incremental added effect up to 10 stacks. Damage over time, or dots, kick in after 1 second and deal damage once each second. The normal damage types. Impact, the status, stagger. Extra mercy finisher chance if the target is below 5% health. It sounds good, but it's only an extra chance if the target is already below 5% health. Not very useful. Enemies don't tend to stay alive for very long if they've already taken 95% of their health and damage. Puncture, status, weakened. Target deals 30% less damage, 75% less damage at 10 stacks. At first, this seems like a good way to increase survivability, but you can prevent all damage dealt by an enemy if you just remove them from the field. And if you need a quick way to get a lot of damage reduction for a second, the roll gives you 75% reduction for its animation. Slashing, status, bleed. A great dot. Its damage is affected by base bonus damage mods, faction bonus damage mods, and critical hits. While it should trigger infinitely, the game will only display 10 damage tick numbers. The bleed dot deals true damage, which bypasses armor completely. This is why slash damage has been king. It's a great way of dealing with armored targets, even if armored targets take a percentage less slashing damage. Elemental damage types. Cold, status, freeze. The target's movement speed and fire rate are reduced by 25%. They are reduced by 70% at 10 stacks. Not bad, though it doesn't help you kill enemies faster. It can, for a time, give you some more survivability, but after you have a maximum vitality and some movement tech under your belt, it may be of minimal use. Electricity, status, Tesla chain. This one will stun targets and deal electricity damage to all enemies within 3 meters. That damage also has a status chance and can jump from enemy to enemy, stunning and dealing more damage. It's very reasonable crowd control if enemies are close enough, and extra damage is always a plus. Heat, status, ignite. This will reduce the target's armor by 50%, and after a 1 second delay it starts a heat dot. Ignite's dot behaves strangely, essentially adding damage to the current heat damage tick and refreshing the dot's duration rather than adding a separate instance. This one is exceptionally dangerous. Dropping enemy armor is great, and having an infinitely scaling dot is an amazing combination. If you can only have one status weapon, make it a pure flamethrower. Toxin, status, poison. A simple dot, though toxin damage bypasses shields, whether straight from your weapon or from the poison status. It's very useful against the corpus. Combined elemental damage types. Blast. Status, inaccuracy. The target's accuracy is reduced 30%. It's reduced 75% with 10 stacks. I guess that's neat. It looks like the main use of Blast is to launch enemy corpses quite a distance. It can be fun. Corrosive. Status, corrosion. Reduces target's armor by 26%. Reduces armor by 80% at 10 stacks. This is pretty good against the Grenier. Taking off a lot of armor very fast can essentially multiply effective damage. Gas. Status, gas cloud. This one makes a dot area of effect, 3 meters in radius. The cloud's radius becomes 6 meters at 10 stacks. If the target dies, the rest of the effect continues until they time out. It's okay, but it's just okay. Magnetic. Status, disrupt. The target takes extra damage to their shields, plus 100%. The extra damage becomes plus 325% at 10 stacks. Shields also won't naturally regenerate while they're affected. It's useful against the corpus, though be wary. Some of their drones increase shields and force shield regen. Radiation. Status, confusion. This one confuses the target for 12 seconds. While affected, the target attacks prior friendlies with a plus 100% damage bonus. The damage bonus becomes plus 550% at 10 stacks. There is a certain fun that can be had with it. Radiation gets weird against Kuvaliches. Instead of the normal effect, they take more damage from other confused enemies, but the extra damage is limited to plus 250% damage, or something like that. Viral. Status, virus. The target takes plus 100% damage to health, plus 325% damage at 10 stacks. Killing enemies fast is good, and this makes virus good, except against shields. But fortunately, just the shield health. Virus also applies to dots, so it can get quite silly. Weird damage types. True damage. Status, none. This entry is just here to remind you that true damage bypasses armor. There are very few sources of true damage, though finishers and bleed being the most common. Void. Status, bullet attraction. This one lasts 3 seconds with a roughly 5-meter radius. Wherever the target is hit, subsequent shots are drawn to that point. A fairly simple and interesting effect. It's available for use at any time through the use of operator amps. Too long, didn't watch, what is the best? Slashing. Because of bleed being true damage. Heat. Because it's both armor strip and damage over time. Viral. Because it increases damage dealt to the target. And the combination of heat and viral doesn't overlap in elements, meaning you can very easily add both types to a weapon. So when every weapon starts looking samey, remember, humans are heuristic based. And one last bit, an explanation of why many would say that dead is the best crowd control. The only guaranteed way to make sure an enemy can't do anything is to take them out of the game. There are also plenty of high-value enemies that are just immune to some or all crowd control effects. The only thing that sticks is damage. It's not fancy, but it's effective. Until I catch up with you again, stay warm.